Okay, we are back. I'm very happy to have on the Goldstein on Gelt show Maurice Ashley, who is a chess grandmaster. He has taken his chess career not only from being a three-time national champion and a three-time national championship coach. He's an author, he's a commentator, he's an iPhone app designer, clearly a strategic and tactical thinker. Maurice, a real pleasure to have you.
Thanks so much. Great to be here.
So let's cut right to the top, because you are in the field of ultra success, that you yourself and the people who you coach are very, very successful. What do you think it takes to become a top-level chess player?
Well, first of all, it takes a tremendous amount of dedication. I mean, dedication, determination. Chess is really a sport that demands a lot of practice and certainly an abundance of losing. So if you are not prepared to lose a lot, to fail a lot, and then come back from failure, you are not going to become a great chess player. So one of the things I'll tell people is I'm one of the greatest losers you ever met, because if you beat me, I'm going to learn from it and I'm going to come back. And that's a key quality that I think most top flight players share, is that willingness to embrace losing as a part of the learning process.
I think I saw a great quote by a Nobel Prize winner who said that if you never fail, you're not taking on hard enough problems.
That's absolutely right. And the way you move up in the ranks in chess is by taking on harder and harder problems. The levels get harder. The quality of competition gets stiffer. So you go from being experts to masters to international masters to national grandmasters. And that climb is a real test of your fortitude. And if you are unable to tolerate the many difficulties that will be thrown your way, then you have no chance in sport.
So one of the things you touched on was practice, and of course we all learned growing up that practice makes perfect, and now quite frankly it is there's a whole concept in the world of education. They refer to the 10,000-hour rule. People always like to look at Tiger Woods as someone who just did the same thing over and over again. Is that the bottom line to success?
Well, of course, practice is absolutely necessary. There's no question about that. And the 10,000-hour rule, I think that most people would have intuited that you do need lots of practice no matter what. However, I think that intelligent practice is more important than just mindless practice. And it's the ability to get right to the heart of what you need to do that makes you more efficient. It's great to have a coach, a great coach, who is able to point you in the right direction. And also to get the right kind of materials, the right books. You want to have the best materials to read, right computer program. It's not just the practice. You've got to not only the hours you're going to spend, but also your own willingness to change, because you could also be practicing the wrong thing. You know, you can drill in the wrong thing into your system, and that's even harder to get rid of once you've poorly practiced.
Right.
So you really have got to have it airtight and the right kind of quality that you're doing if you're going to practice really well.
I think that's a very good point. So let's talk a little bit about how you have translated the world of chess. And you're in the business world as well, not only just the business of chess, but what are some of the parallels or comparisons that you've seen yourself?
Well, I think the biggest one for me is knowing your opponent. I think that most people, when they think about their lives, they sort of think from their eyes outward. And I know when a chess player has really arrived, one of my students who's really come into their own, is when they're able to see the world from the eyes of the opponent, that your moves don't matter so much. I mean, if you miss a winning move, if you could have checkmated your opponent, that's okay. The game still goes on. But if your opponent plays a move that could destroy you and you don't see it, it's over. You're dead. And I think that most people don't appreciate that in their lives, that they're in their personal lives even. The other person's needs are more important than your own. They're in business. It's about what your competition is doing. You've got to see it from the other person's eyes. Even if it's your clients, it's very important to see it from your client's eyes, not from your eyes, or even what your interpretation of what they're seeing is. It's always the refinement of what does the other person see. And I think that is one of the hardest tasks in life, in business, is trying your best to see whatever field you're in through the other person's eyes. That's the chess player's biggest challenge, and we always try to perfect that art, and I think it is everybody's challenge.
So can you give us a tip for how you could actually learn to do that?
I think everyone knows how to do it. We just don't. It's about listening. It's the art of listening. It's the art of, first and foremost, asking questions, trying to get the other person's perspective every single time you're in a situation. First things first. It's not about you. It's about them. And if you just ask great questions, you'll get the answers that you need. And we'll just keep asking those questions until you're sure that you can articulate their viewpoint as well as you articulate your own.
We're talking with Maurice Ashley, who is a chess grandmaster, a fabulous chess coach, an author. He's a chess commentator. He's actually setting up for the first time in history, I think, the highest stakes chess open tournament called the Millionaire Chess Open, which we'll talk about in a minute. One of the things you said, Maurice, which really struck me was the importance of being able to listen. And one of the things I've found, in my day job, I'm a financial advisor. I do the radio gig once a week when I get to speak to interesting people like you. But one of the things I've noticed when clients come in is oftentimes they feel like they've been sold something by some salesman. They sold a mutual fund. They were sold a stock or an investment or an annuity, and then ultimately they're unhappy. And one of the things that I pride myself, but I think I learned this from my mother, who had been a financial advisor years before I was, and we were partners, is she said, just listen to what the clients are saying and let them talk, and then ultimately it'll become obvious what investment is appropriate for them. So it really touched me what she said when you brought that up. Have you met people in other fields who've had examples like that as well?
Well, I think it's the wisdom that your mother has, and it's absolutely the right idea. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think straight off, but I think that when I just think of different fields, if it's medicine, if it's a doctor when you walk in. I mean, that happened to me actually personally when a doctor didn't hear what I was saying well enough, and I had a gallbladder issue. And he insisted he knew what was wrong, and he's the doctor, right? So I had to listen to him. And it turned out that I suffered for literally one more year in extreme pain. And it is only when I did my own research and came back that I told him my symptoms, and he finally heard me. It turned out that I had to get an operation to get this painful gallbladder out of my body. It's incredible how people can be so sure of themselves and not realize that the other person and their viewpoints and what they're feeling is so much more important than their own, and you have to be able to ask those questions. First things first. Be humble. Get what they're saying, because if they told you, at least, when you give them the advice, you can say, listen, you're the one who told me all this, right? So it's not my fault. So really important.
If you practice this concept, and I'm a big believer like you are in learning from chess and learning many, many ideas from life about it, but if you practice this theory on the chessboard, do you think it easily translates out, or is it just that in each field you go into, you got to start from scratch?
I think that it's really the person who uses the message, right, and the learning. I don't think things translate immediately. If you're someone who is just very close-minded and thinks that the world is what it is in one field and it's a different world in another field, then you don't get these lessons. But if you're maybe old enough, wise enough, open-minded enough, you will begin to see that everything is connected. I think that everything you do is connected to something else, and you can use those lessons that you learn from one thing, and I've used the lessons from chess over and over again in my life, to whether it's the thinking ahead, whether it's the listening that we're talking about here, the kind of focus that you need to get good at something. All those things that I got from chess really helped me to be more successful in other areas.
And I think another skill that you've developed is not thinking small. So tell us how you are thinking very big with the Millionaire Chess Open.
Well, chess has been such a wonderful game for so many years, but it's not gotten the kind of shine that many of us believe it should. And one of the reasons, I think, is because people haven't thought big enough about the sport and haven't been daring enough with it as an activity. There's so many millions and millions of folks around the world who play chess. It should be a big-time sport. Maybe it's not going to ever become basketball and soccer and those kind of sports, but certainly the level of poker. I've heard that competitive fishing is on television. Why not chess? So we are doing the Millionaire Chess Open. My company, we are called Millionaire Chess. we're doing the first $1 million chess open event. That means that it's $1 million in prize money. We have multiple sections. The open section for the professionals, $100,000 first place. This will be taking place in Las Vegas, October 9th through 13th at Planet Hollywood, so right on the Strip, exciting city, great place to be, and a lot of money at stake. And we're trying to raise the profile of chess, particularly here in the United States where it's not that popular, even though a lot of people play casually. We think we'll make a real dent over time. This is just year one, and we'll be looking to do it in future years as well.
I think that it sounds like a fantastic idea, and really going out there and saying that we are a top sport, just like hopefully topping fishing, although nothing against our fishermen friends who are listening to us today.
Yeah, fishing I'm sure is pretty cool as a sport, but if people will watch people fish, they can watch them play chess. Chess is super exciting, and I'm here actually doing commentary at the U.S. Chess Championship. The U.S. Chess Championship is also a super exciting event with the best players in the United States. And we do commentary, we talk about the moves, we talk about the insights, we talk about the strategies. Yeah, that's stuff that people are not used to. They've never heard that about chess. They know that it's a game and it's fun, but really you can talk about the deep ideas behind it. And yeah, we get right into the emotional side. My favorite side is when somebody's in despair. You know, they're losing. It's like a big moment when it's like they're about to get crushed, and we get to go into exploring the mind of the champion as they have to bounce back from such a devastating loss. That's the emotional side that I think is the most fascinating.
Right, and I think that it certainly helps, as a chess spectator myself, to have a great commentator to walk you through it is really a huge... It changes the whole relationship that as a viewer I have watching it. So I'm looking forward to listening to your commentary for this and for many, many future tournaments. We're just about out of time, Maurice, but in the last few seconds, tell us, how can people follow your work?
Well, there are two sites you can go to. One is MauriceAshley.com, which is my personal site, and MillionaireChess.com, where you can find out all about the Millionaire Chess Open.
All right, that sounds fabulous. We will put links to those at the show notes at GoldsteinOnGelt.com. Maurice Ashley, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
So, I'm your host, Doug Goldstein. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next week.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt show with international investment expert Doug Goldstein. If you'd like your questions answered on the air or off, go to www.goldsteinongelt.com or write to Doug directly at doug@profile-financial.com.